generations of heroes. It shows that courage is in our soldiers' DNA. It is ingrained in over 250 years of service and sacrifice. As all of you know, our soldiers are the very best in the world. They're bold, decisive, and they can solve any problem that faces them. That's why I spent over 130 days on the road across 17 countries and 25 states to hear directly from our soldiers. I saw their barracks, ate with them, put hands on their new and old equipment, and had candid face-to-face discussions with soldiers of every single rank. What I heard was clear. Our soldiers are ready to innovate and win, but bureaucracy and regulations are still holding them back. Getting what soldiers need to win, making the Army budget work for them, is definitionally a bipartisan topic, and I know all of you agree with that. So everything we do in this room, in the Pentagon, in the Capitol building, should support our soldiers. You've supported our Army for decades, and our Army wouldn't be what it is today without all of you. But we all know that the system that should benefit soldiers still remains broken. Soldiers, their quality of life, and their battlefield advantage isn't always the #1 budget and oversight priority. It's a simple fact, and we need your help to continue to change it. We need legislation that secures our right to repair so we can fix our equipment organically, improve readiness, and mitigate contested logistics. We need relief from laws enacted before World War II that limit how we manage dining and services on our installations. They simply degrade quality of life and waste resources. And we need more budget flexibility. Thank you so much for last year's progress, but we must go further so we can adapt quickly to threats and transform faster than our adversaries. We all know that technological change is accelerating exponentially, and thus warfare is evolving constantly. Speed, innovation, and adaptability are more important than ever now. And your help to either lower barriers to innovation or stick to the decades-long status quo makes all the difference. I invite every single one of you to continue to do what you already do and engage with our Army and see the changes we're making firsthand. We are partnering with private industry to bring the best tech, talent, and tradecraft to the Army. We are bringing private capital to our bases to unlock dormant resources and offset the delays and constraints built into our federal budget process. We are blazing a trail for our nation on nuclear energy, counter-drone capabilities, and military AI and data center applications. Despite regulatory constraints, we're delivering better soldier quality of life through campus-style dining, barracks Wi-Fi, and 3D-printed barracks material construction. Even though it can seem like the deck is stacked against us sometimes, and we exert colossal efforts to overcome some of these barriers, the United States Army is a beacon of transformation. Imagine what we can do if we weren't bound by the red tape. We can do more if you help us find the right balance between regulation and oversight and flexibility and speed. We can take our budget further if you help us tap into America's entrepreneurial spirit and unlock our soldiers' true potential. We can move faster if you help us shed the dead weight of obsolete equipment and invest in modern capabilities that propel us into the future. And with your help, we can ensure that our Army remains the dominant land fighting force for the next 250 years. Thank you so much for having us, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. General Laneeve, please take 5 minutes for your opening remarks.
Chairman Cole, Chairman Calvert, Ranking Member McCollum, thank you for the opportunity to appear before this subcommittee today. Everything I do as the Vice Chief of Staff of the Army begins and ends with one question. Does this make our soldiers more lethal and ready to fight and win when called upon? Today, over 212,000 soldiers are deployed or forward postured across 160 countries, securing our interests in the Western Hemisphere, deterring aggression in the Indo-Pacific, and responding to threats worldwide. In the Middle East, our soldiers continue to defend U.S. forces and partners, sustaining layered air and missile defense systems and maintaining our long-range strike capabilities. Army sustainment forces are postured across the theater, moving fuel, munitions, and medical support, while command posts continue to integrate joint fires and intelligence to respond to any threat. Operations overseas are sustained by the command structure and ready forces we maintain at home. We consolidated Army North and South in the Western Hemisphere Command to create a single unified headquarters responsible for homeland defense. And in the Indo-Pacific, the Army maintains 91,000 troops and committed $1.3 billion to the Pacific Deterrence Initiative. And commanding in Korea showed me that years of combined training and shared risk with regional partners creates relationships that cannot be forged in crisis. We're building readiness for the future fight at our combat training centers, and having commanded the ops group at JRTC, I know the value of our CTCs. It's where we train our soldiers in complex environment in the mud to test how well they'll be able to fix complex problems against an adversary. We cannot field modern kit while sustaining aging systems that consume time, money, and manpower. Divesting legacy platforms reduces the maintenance demand that falls hardest on our junior soldiers. This is why we restructured our acquisition process to close the distance between soldiers' feedback and program decisions from years to months. And you'll see this reflected in the capabilities that we're accelerating. Next generation command and control fundamentally changes the speed of decision making, connecting sensors, shooters, and commanders, closing the gap between information and action at every echelon across all of our systems. We're progressing the XM-30 infantry fighting vehicle, unveiled the M1E3 prototype years ahead of schedule, and fielded the AMP-V to replace the M113, which entered service in 1960, 7 years before I was born. In Army Aviation, we're on track to deliver a prototype of the MV-75 Cheyenne by FY27, increasing the speed, range, and survivability required for future operations. But none of this matters if we can't produce and sustain at scale. That's why we continue to modernize our OIB, expanding industry partnerships through enhanced use leases and advanced manufacturing. Industrial capacity is important, but the strength of our Army is only as strong as our ability to retain experienced soldiers. And whether the force we're building reflects the standards that we claim to uphold. That standard includes $4 billion in infrastructure investments throughout 2026. In improved nutrition, we're rolling out campus-style dining, which has been a huge success across 5 installations and planning an additional 6. And we're scaling our holistic health and fitness program across all compos. And these investments are having a measurable impact. It shows in our recruiting trends. Our numbers are up across all of our categories, and we're exceeding last year's target. Thank you for your continued support as we sustain the best Army the world has ever seen. That will not change, and this we will defend. And thank you for acknowledging our losses. Thank you for the prayers of the families, and thank you for the support that you continue to provide to those families. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Thank you for your comments. I'll start the questioning, and we'll have a 5-minute round around the room.